What is up, guys? The Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls are 1-0. And my timeline is blowing up right now. That was a tough game for the Bulls in which not a lot of love from the refs. Not a lot of consistency from the offense. A lot of missed shots, a lot of easy shots that this team usually makes. A lot of Vucevic missing wide open looks, which I don't think is something that I would expect to continue long term. Zach Lavine took over in the fourth quarter. He did what our superstar should do. And I am feeling pretty good about the victory. Let's see what you guys are thinking out there. How we feeling, guys? 1-0. 1-0, a great way to start the season. Not the prettiest victory, but we overcame some bullshit from the refs. We overcame some bullshit from ourselves. The Bulls shot themselves in the foot numerous times throughout this game, but they were able to close it out in the fourth. And it feels relieving. I cannot tell you how relieved I feel. It is good to see Io. Yes, what's up, David? Io to Sumu look good. The shots will fall. The defense was there. You know, the Pistons aren't a very good team, but still plenty of young talent, and they play up to the level of their competition. First regular season game is an adjustment period for every single team in the league, not just for the Bulls. So I think, all in all, getting an ugly win is better than a pretty loss. I will take it. And Zach Lavine, man, look at this stat line. That's insane. So Zach Lavine finishes with a stat line of 34 points on 11 of 17 from the field and 11 from the free throw line, I think. The Bulls might have had a typo there because they put free throw for both. 7 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. What a game from Zach Lavine. You know, when we needed him to step up the most in that fourth quarter, when it felt like we couldn't buy a bucket, it felt like it was turnover after turnover, it really was Zach. He really led the scoring charge. And not only the scoring charge, he was getting in on defense, disrupting passing lanes, and then making the right pass on offense when his shot wasn't there. And he set up 2 pretty looks for Nikola Vucevic and Lonzo Ball that helped us take the lead at the end there. So overall, like I said, I'll take the ugly win over the pretty loss. DeRozan, I think he showed us some good things for sure. Defensively, I was a little bit impressed, especially there towards the end. It felt like Saddiq Bey might end up torching us and getting the Pistons back in the game towards the end there, but I felt like DeRozan played some good defense. Caruso too, man. Caruso plays taller than he really is. And you could see that there. Billy Donovan brought in Caruso for some of those late game plays and had Patrick Williams off the court, which honestly, I'm okay with. Alex Caruso is the veteran. Alex Caruso is one of the best defenders in the NBA. Alex Caruso is a world champion. So to have him on the court at the end of a game, not going to complain. I'm okay with that. But yeah, I mean, overall, I'm just excited for Friday night. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready. I'm ready for the Pelicans. I'm going to be there, so obviously I have a little bit of a bias, but I think looking back on this, I'll go back and I'll watch the tape on this game. But I think we're going to look back on it, and this will be a teachable moment for the team. But all in all, I don't think this game is indicative of anything. I don't think there's anything to be concerned about necessarily. Anything, at least, that we weren't already concerned about before this game. what I'm trying to say is I don't think a close win over the Pistons changes a whole lot in the first regular season game. You know what I mean? Like, let's not overreact one way or the other. I think the Bulls are still in the same position they were yesterday, but they're 1-0. So you take it. You take it. You take it. You always want to take it. You always take the victory, guys. Never complain about a victory. Always take the victory. So feeling good about the Lonzo revenge game. Yes, Alba. I wish you were there too, my friend. I can't tell you guys, but something really cool happened. But I'm going to have a lot of fun at the game on Friday. I'll just say that. What else was there to take away from this game? We talked about Vucevic, him having struggle shooting the ball. I feel like is so temporary, you know, early season rust. The guy is such an automatic double-double machine. He had a double-double in the first half. So wouldn't worry about Vooch. You know, even though his shooting wasn't quite there, he still was a big part of this victory. I think he did have some timely shots towards the end. Big rebounds. Obviously, you know, he is a huge part of what they do offensively with that pick and roll action, especially when they first get into their half-court sets. Pretty much every half-court set starts with a Vooch pick. So he is a huge part of what they do offensively. Even if he's not shooting and it doesn't show up on the box score, you have to realize what his presence does to the offense, opening up lanes, opening up shooters, and obviously he's such a good passer that just his skill on his own, makes everybody a little bit better. Everybody will get a little bit better. Exactly, Alba. You get that ugly win out of the way, and this team needs to face some adversity. They're not going to blow every team out of the water every game. We know that. That's not possible in the NBA. And we know what the Bulls are. We know that the Bulls love to give us heart palpitations. The Bulls love to make us sweat. So nothing out of the ordinary in that regard. Another Bulls victory where... Well, actually, a Bulls game where we actually won. It was close at the end instead of our hearts getting broken. What's up, Magdalena? Urban Chill, if you're going to the game opening night, watch out for Matt Peck. Heard that guy's suspicious. I will watch out for Matt. Hayes going 0 for 6. Hey, we talked about that in the pregame. Hayes is struggling mightily with his shot and offensively is just kind of a liability. That's a problem for the Pistons, sure, but they have Cade. We didn't see Cade tonight. Could have been a little bit of a different game. Not going to lie. If Cade had played, I feel like the Pistons were kind of one player away from really getting that victory tonight. So we'll see on Saturday night. The Pistons will come to Chicago. Cade might play in that game. But for tonight, it was interesting to see Killian Hayes out there. Not the guy that I was hoping he would be out of the draft. Still a ton of potential. Don't want to overreact to one game, of course, one way or the other. But Killian Hayes definitely still some progress to be made in his career for sure. This is Zach's most points in a season opener. That's awesome. MVP season. Kobe would be so helpful today. Yeah, so you bring up a good point. What's up, Evan? Over 500 feels great. Yes, it does. Feels good. Yes, it does. So Kobe, I want to address Kobe White for a second because I think that's a great point. That Kobe White would be helpful in a game like this. I agree. I do think so, especially when guys like Vooch aren't hitting their threes. Kobe White would be a super useful spark plug off the bench. That said, Ayo Dosunmu's defense, now he made a few rookie mistakes, but Ayo Dosunmu came in and played poised and played like I would expect a veteran guard to come off the bench and play some defense. So I want to give credit to Ayo Dosunmu. I was really impressed with what I saw from him in the limited time that, we got to see him out there. I think he's making the most of those opportunities. And when it comes to making the most of those opportunities, you know, we were talking on Twitter a little bit about injuries. And actually, I'm just realizing I don't have my... there we go. Like, bro, where's all my stuff? Here's all my stuff. Where was I going with that? With the injuries, it doesn't matter how Ayo Dosunmu gets those opportunities, as long as he's getting them and making the most of them. And that's what I feel like I saw tonight, was a guy who was making the most of every opportunity he got. So those are good signs for a guy who is a second-round pick, a rookie. And I think that Coby White coming back is only a good problem to have. That's competition at the guard spot that you need. Javonte Green isn't a guard anymore, so we got to remember that. Like, the guard depth kind of got shrunk a little bit when Javonte Green moved over to being a forward. So Coby White coming back, I think you have the potential right there to create a deadly guard rotation with Alex Caruso, Coby White, and Ayo Dosunmu. A great mix of playmaking, defense, and offense. What else have I missed here? What's up, Ninja? Vooch double-double in the first half. Is that going to be normal? Hell yes. I was just mentioning it. You might have missed it, but pretty much every half-court set that the Bulls have offensively starts with some sort of action, with Vooch picking and sometimes rolling, screening, roll to the basket. That screen and roll action, that it's a no-brainer. You have to start there with Vucevic, just because that is the core foundation of this offense. So yeah, I think you'll see a lot of double-doubles for Vucevic in the first half. The dude is going to be the machine. I really feel like people forget that. Vooch is the motor. Vooch is the motor for the offense, in my opinion. So yes, I think you'll see more of that. Greg mentioned, thank you for acknowledging the Pistons might be a little better than people think. They'll play a lot of teams much harder than expected. Absolutely. I mean, and there's no opponent in the NBA necessarily that I feel like you're just going to roll over any given night. The NBA season is so long. There's so much room for variance. The Pistons in general, I feel like, have a lot of young talent. They play up to the level of their competition. And we saw that last season on a team that was probably even slightly worse, maybe? I don't really know. It's hard to gauge which, if the Pistons really got better or worse. I mean, without Cade tonight, they're definitely worse. But don't sleep on the Pistons. Not a horrible team. Not a great team, obviously. But good win for the Bulls. Billy Donovan is on live right now. What's up, Detroit? To be honest, this game was not very encouraging. I mean, yeah, one way or the other. I'm not gonna overreact to it. I don't think it was. I said this earlier. I don't think it's changed anything in my mind. I don't think anything has changed. The problems that the Bulls had before this game are still the same, and the strengths that they had before this game are still the same. They just need to knock down some of those shots, and they will. Those shots will get knocked down. They miss so many wide open looks at the rim too, which is just so uncommon for a team, especially like the Bulls, that has a lot of rim pressure. So I'm not too worried, guys, really. Like I said, room for variance in the NBA. Every night is different, and the officiating was rough tonight. Some nights that'll go in your favor. You know, it's the first regular season game. That's the best way to sum it up. It's the first regular season game. There's not a whole lot here to really, we want to wring all the content out of it. We want to try to analyze every second of the game. A lot of it is going to come down to letting these guys play together and grow together. So once again, not too worried one way or the other. Jeffrey's right. There's some nerves involved. What's up, man? How we doing tonight? What's up, Hets WGA? My Brazilian friend, I know. I gotta make it out there. What did you think of Vooch? I didn't get to watch the game. Vooch had a rough game. Not his best for sure, but still involved heavily on both ends of the floor. He's not a rim protector. We know that. I think Vooch offensively is the motor. I keep saying that. So him not hitting his shots, yes, I understand that that's a concern. I think those shots will start falling eventually. But Vooch does so much in general, for the offense, for transition in terms of his rebounding and passing. Just his presence in general creates mismatches and creates opportunities for his teammates. So I don't see him shooting that poorly that often. And on a night like tonight, if those shots had been going down, it would have been a blowout victory for the Bulls. So it's things like that. It's a fickle game, and not every night will go in your favor. But tonight, you know what, guys, we talk all this doom and gloom and some negativity coming away from this game. They still won. They still pulled out the victory. And we saw in that third preseason game, this team can face some adversity and come back and win the game. So I like that they did it in the regular season now. We saw them face some adversity in the preseason and still pull out the victory. Now they did it in the regular season. Those are encouraging signs. A lot to feel good about. And some things to feel meh about, sure. But not, like I said, a huge deal. What else is going out there, guys? Any other questions that you guys have about the game? Things that you might have seen that you want me to expand on? Observations? I think it was overall an entertaining game. The Bulls are entertaining. We know that. There's no lack of drama, of intrigue in this team. They'll be in every game that they play. That's another thing too. This is the kind of game I feel like last season, if the Bulls were losing at halftime, they would have never come back to win. Alexandra C, that's when we have a great team. We won and we're still complaining. That's a great point. Expectations are different this season. Obviously heightened. We have a different level that we're trying to reach. We want to be a contender. So yes, you should beat teams like the Pistons. But at the end of the day, it's one game. Now, guys, it's one game. I want to keep bringing it back to that. It's one game. If we're sitting here in a couple months and we're talking about some of the same issues, okay, that's different. That's a different story. We should be seeing some development. We should see some chemistry forming. We should see them improve as a team as the season goes along. There will be ups, there will be downs, of course. But tonight, got the victory. And I feel like for the Bulls, this must be a great locker room victory. The kind of game that gets everybody on the same page about expectations for this season. With what the Bulls want to accomplish this season, the chip that they have on their shoulder, I expect them to have a mindset coming away from a victory like this, that every guy gave it his all for the guy next to him. There's really no player that I came away from this game feeling negatively about. You could make an argument that maybe some of Billy Donovan's rotations were a little bit suspect. I thought that there were stretches where Lonzo was out of the game and I was kind of confused by it. But anyway, all of that out of the way, what I'm trying to get at is there isn't a weak link necessarily that I feel like is letting anyone down. Every player is playing their part. They're doing it for the guy next to them, and that boosts morale. That helps build chemistry and build camaraderie. So I really, guys, I just want to stress that this game is nothing to overreact over, and I still feel very strongly about our chances going forward here. Derek Jones Jr. I just saw his name in chat. Yeah, I didn't see him. Probably had to do with personnel a little bit. Probably had to do with him still recovering from that injury. It's, once again, not a huge deal. I should go look at the minutes, actually, because I feel like I didn't see a whole lot of Tony Bradley either. Which I was a little confused about, too. Someone asked about Patrick Williams on a minutes restriction. It wasn't a minutes restriction per se. It was more of a spurt restriction. The amount of minutes he would be playing at any given time. So it wasn't an overall minutes restriction for the whole game. It was how many minutes he was playing at a time. Patrick Williams still finished with 28 minutes, which is the lowest of the starters, but, you know, still starter minutes. Yeah, so no Tony Bradley, no Derek Jones Jr. A little surprised by that. Probably still recovering from their respective injuries. But looking at the box score here, you love to see it. Ayo Dosunmu was +7 off the bench. That's awesome. That's so cool. Only in 11 minutes, he made an impact. So shout out to Ayo Dosunmu. Great game for him. Alex Caruso played 27 minutes off the bench. Caruso, I just realized, had 5 fouls. Almost fouled out. Interesting. Yeah, Trey Brown Jr. only played 4 minutes. We know that he has that mouth thing going on. And then he got into some foul trouble too. Yeah, you know, overall the minutes were a little strange tonight. I will say, I don't like going away from some of the things that were working in the preseason, which was, you know, getting Trey Brown Jr. involved, getting guys like Derek Jones Jr. involved a little bit more. Tony Bradley, I'd like to see him get involved, but yeah, I am a little bit. I don't know what the word is. I'm not unhappy. I'm a little bit confused, I guess, by some of the decisions I feel like Billy Donovan made tonight, from a personnel standpoint. I liked bringing in Caruso strategically in the fourth. I thought it was a smart way to stagger minutes between him and Patrick Williams. I like Alize Johnson. I want more of Alize Johnson. Alize Johnson is such a tough player. He plays with so much intensity. He gets rebounds like crazy. So I would like to see a little bit more of him. I want to see Lonzo a little more aggressive. I feel like Lonzo maybe looked a little timid, not ready for the moment sometimes. Oh, Troy hasn't been able to eat for 2 days? Holy Moses. Well, yeah, no, he shouldn't have been playing in this game at all. Yeah. That's awful. Yeah, I don't know how Trey Brown Jr. played at all if he hasn't eaten in 2 days. But shout out to Trey Brown Jr. Hopefully he gets better ASAP, because that's crazy. Jeffrey asked who started. It was Pat, Zach, DeRozan, Vooch, and Lonzo. Yeah, what's going on with this Celtics-Knicks game? I gotta check this one out. I am honestly kind of shocked at that Trey Brown Jr. Tidbit right there. You know, I understand that Lonzo has had criticisms about his aggressiveness and attitude sometimes. I didn't see that at all in the preseason. So whatever was going on tonight, I feel like I've seen enough from him that he can pull himself out of that. So I don't think it's so cut and dry that that's Lonzo's problem and that's just the end of it. Now, you know, you want to see some improvement there, obviously. Don't want to see him doing this consistently. Yeah, and Lonzo, Alba, that's a great point. We shouldn't overlook his defense. Zach had some great moments defensively too, yes. But Lonzo, people are so obsessed with his stat line. The dude does more than just shoot threes, you know? Lonzo was a bit sloppy on the ball. Yeah, had a couple turnovers. What is my opinion about the refs? Yeah, so the refs weren't good tonight. The Pistons were able to sell, I think, a lot of ticky-tack BS calls, and on the other end, the Bulls weren't getting the same calls. The Bulls were getting absolutely hammered at the rim, and they weren't getting those calls. But at the same, this isn't a game that I think the refs were going to win or lose. I think the teams at the end of the game were in control. Which team wanted to take over and win the game had the ability to do so. The Bulls shot themselves in the foot with a lot of turnovers, missed shots at the rim, even aside from those that should have been called fouls. So I do think the refs were bad in this game, but not bad enough that the Bulls couldn't overcome it. And they did overcome it, obviously. So that's a sign of improvement, where in the past, I feel like if the Bulls aren't, last season, if the Bulls weren't getting calls, they would just kind of accept it and they would stop attacking the rim, it felt like. I didn't get that impression tonight. I feel like they kept attacking the rim, even despite that. And obviously at the end of the game, Zach had those clutch free throws, so he did end up getting some of those calls. So yeah, I really, at the end of the day, the refs sucked, but you got to be able to overcome that. You can't use that as an excuse all season. Yeah, Linux a little bit of a dirty player. Just kind of the truth. I don't know. Is there any Pistons fans out there that want to argue with me on that? Dude's just kind of a dirty player. We remember that with the Celtics back in the day. That's just always kind of been the player he is. Nothing shocking there, I would say. Yeah. I'm not an Olynyk fan at all, so. All right. Anything else from this game tonight, guys? I'm ready to go eat some dinner. It was an early tip for me, so I was working until halftime. So I haven't had dinner yet. It's about to be 7 p.m. by me. So I'm ready to grab some grub. But any other thoughts? Any parting questions, observations, feelings, emotions? Let it out, guys. This is the time. Yes, the Zach MVP campaign is alive and well. Brad Tours, I like Caruso in closing lineups. I do too. I'm with you on that. Ninja, one question. One of the Johnsons made their home debut. Who was that and how did he do? One of the Johnsons? So we cut Stanley Johnson. We only have Alize Johnson now. Alize Johnson played. He played pretty okay, decently. I wouldn't say he was anything crazy impressive. Nothing bad either. Just normal Alize Johnson stuff. Playing with energy, grabbing some boards. Yeah, that's about it. Nothing crazy. Blah. At current pace, Bulls will be 82-0. Can't argue with math, bro. That's math. That's the math right there. If you expand what the Bulls did tonight over an 82-game season, the Bulls would be 82-0. So there you go. Didn't Thomas make the cut? Yes. Matt Thomas is on the roster, but he did not play tonight. Stanley Johnson was the only guy that got cut from the actual roster. We had a couple training camp invites. Remember Ethan Thompson? He got cut or waived. And then Tyler Cook ended up on a 2-way contract. Go watch my last video, man. I made a whole video about it. I got like 2 videos talking about that stuff. We're here. Regular season is here. Roster is set. We're rolling. We're going. Pat's rotations to Vucevic, man, were the reason why he was benched. I do think Pat was having a little bit of a rough time trying to, I don't want to say cover up for some of Vucevic's deficiencies, but Pat was asked to do a lot tonight for sure, and I don't think that he had his best game in light of that necessarily. Now, offensively, still like to see him take that step still not seeing it. I still saw a couple of instances where like he got the ball and he had a shot and he dribbled into nothing and then had to pass it. And it's like, I'd like to see him just take that shot instead of putting the ball on the floor. So those are still things to work on with Patrick. Defensively, we know what he's capable of, but still 20 years old, still adjusting, getting back conditioned as well from that injury. So not a whole lot to be concerned about once again. Just like grand scheme, not a whole lot to be concerned about. That's my biggest takeaway, is nothing has changed really between, yesterday and today. Nothing really has changed. The problems that the Bulls had are still the same problems, and the strengths that the Bulls have are still the same strengths. Knock on wood, we're coming away from this game clean. Nobody's injured. Jeffrey asked, did Pat look injured in any way? No, he didn't. Nobody looked injured in any way. Nobody looked hesitant in any way because of an injury. The only guy you could make that case for is Troy Brown Jr., but totally different story. Dude is got apparently a very, very, very bad illness that has prevented him from eating. So that will be something. I mean, it's an illness. He'll be okay. He'll recover from that. When I say we come away from this game healthy, no injuries, illness. Hopefully he's back soon. No injuries is great. Health is great. Depth is good. We'll see what the situation looks like with Derrick Jones Jr. and Tony Bradley on Friday night. If Zion is playing on Friday night, I would assume we'll get some Tony Bradley minutes. It would make sense. You're going to want a guy out there in relief of Patrick Williams who can keep up with a guy like Zion potentially. Alba says Zion isn't playing. Okay. Kind of sucks. But anyway, that is the Bulls and Pistons, the victory to get the Bulls up to 1-0 on the season. Okay, so Zion's a big no. Zion's a big no. Thank you guys so much for hanging out tonight. If you are new, make sure to hit subscribe. Make sure to hit the like button. We are on Apple, Spotify for the podcast. If you want to check that out, make sure to rate and review if you do that. Thank you guys again for hanging out with me after this big victory to open the season. It's here, guys. Like, this is it. We're here. We did it. We finally made it. I know maybe it feels a little unceremonious because we made it this far and the game was kind of a dud, but we got the victory and that's what matters. Peter, do you think Io deserves more than 15 minutes? Not yet, but maybe soon. I think 10 minutes is right for him right now, especially considering he was mainly playing because of Troy Brown Jr. Not being able to go. So 10 minutes seems fair for Io, and I think he made the most of them. And with that, I think I will leave you guys. Thank you again for hanging out with me tonight. This was a great Bulls victory. Let's stay undefeated. Let's go on a streak. Let's keep it going. Friday night, I will be at the game. I don't know quite yet what the content situation will look like, but you guys know I'll keep you posted on Twitter at Arturis Fan Club. I'm on Instagram too. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Arturis Fan Club. I've been using it a lot more lately. So thank you guys again. Huge Bulls victory to open the season, and we will talk